Superstars, g'day legends, Peps and Jdog, round 12 in the books. Interesting weekend of football for many a team, and we're happy to obviously get back into it. If you haven't heard of us before, Chris Pepper, host of Lace Out with the co-host with the most, Jamie the Jdog Wallace. We talk footy just how you want it. Lace out, and you know what? No fluff, just from the heart. That's basically about it, isn't it?
I think that's it.
Basically
that's how it works.
Look, Jdog, I'd normally ask, we'd normally go into how was the weekend and how was everything and how did you feel and that sort of stuff. But I think the easiest way to sort of do this is just getting into the ladder itself. Let's have a look at the ladder, because I think even though there are 7 games, it was a monumental weekend of football for so many teams. Okay. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm going to put ourselves on top as we like to normally do here. All righty. Sydney Swans didn't even play on the weekend and still have a 6-point gap over everybody else. Essendon had a loss against Gold Coast. Really cracking game of football, that one. Geelong just scraped home across the line against Richmond. Port Adelaide, woeful against Carlton.
Terrible.
Fremantle. We'll get into them in a moment. They're in the top 8. GWS had the week off, retained their spot. The Gold Coast Suns, yes, the team that we both have a big love for, are finally in the 8. Had a test on the weekend and overcame it beautifully. Collingwood lose again. I think it's starting to catch up on them, the lack of players. Melbourne, we'll get into that very, very shortly. Probably the worst loss I have, probably would say. I reckon it's our 2020 version of the 186 game.
Oh.
Yep, that's how bad it was. Hawthorn, mate, I'll tell you what, I remember we said about 4 or 5 weeks ago, start packing your bags for Vegas. I think they should maybe cancel their trips, because I think that they're out of the crap and they're into the friend zone big time at the moment on their way up. Brisbane Lions are just poo. Adelaide are poo. St Kilda, even though they won against West Coast, I can't call them shit Kilda this week because they did get the victory. West Coast, we'll talk about them in a moment. Richmond, hey, at least they had a crack. And North Melbourne finally did not have a loss over the weekend. But I reckon a couple of weeks ago we said, final 8, you reckon it's locked in? And we're like, yeah, no problems. It's all done. Love it. Fantastic. And now, after a week of football where it just got turned on its head, there's teams that are really contenders and there's teams that are massive pretenders. And I'm going to say it, the guys behind me hanging up on my wall are one of them.
Yeah, and I guess we don't see the full picture until the end of next week with all the buys.
Exactly right. So there's a few buys over the next number of weeks too. Once everybody's played their second round or got through their buys, we'll then do our half-yearly update where teams are sitting. So that will be coming. If I can give them a little summary on the games themselves, Jdog. It was just one of those weekends of footy. I started off with your mob on the weekend and I thought, yep, Port Adelaide at home. They need to win. They will win. They will do this easily. Now, I thought that you weren't too bad, but my goodness, you are looking old and pedestrian. Charlie Dixon is not looking too flash.
Done.
And as soon as he went, Carlton, I can't believe I didn't even pick him. They've won by 6 goals. They are the real deal. And it pains me to say that, but for all the Carlton supporters out there, your team are absolutely mega right now. And I cannot wait for this week's game. It is going to be an absolute belter. It's already locked in for game of the week. Locked in, my friend. Friday night was a corker as well too. And I got on the chat a little bit with the doggies and the Magpies. I don't know if you saw this, Jdog, but everybody was saying Nick Dacos. No way, my friends. The Bont. I know you've been on the Bont a lot this year about he is the best player in the league. He dominated that game. They had injuries at the start of that game. They should not have even been in it at one stage. And he was amazing. He's just amazing. I just love him. And the question is he the best ever Western Bulldog? Well, tell you what, I don't know what more he has to do. I think he has to get maybe get another flag or a Brownlow, and he's locked it in because he's probably got, I think, 5 or 6 BNFs at the moment. He's a couple behind Scotty West. He'll definitely beat that. He'll win the BNF again this year. He's just a freak. And with Collingwood, it's just coming down to injuries. You look at Saturday's game, Hawthorn, like they're just getting better. Jdog, everything under Sam Mitchell, who we thought was a complete knob, but I loved what he was doing, and I thought, nah, he's lost them. It's not working. Starting to doubt it. They're just playing good footy in Adelaide. Once again, if it's at the MCG, just put them down for don't even play. Take the week off because you can't do anything when you come to this ground. I thought West Coast were going to win this game against St Kilda, and they didn't. And Harley Reid's been suspended, and they're challenging it, and he's not going to get off. And so there goes the rising star, which I'll have a chat to you about as well too. So I want to find out some stuff about what you think about that. St Kilda, yeah, just they got to win. Good on them. They deserved it. This game looked like it was going to be upset of the year at one stage. Richmond, who have been they've been average, decimated with injury, 5 ACLs, you name it, nothing's gone right for them. Were up to their eyelids on this one. And then Geelong just ran away. I think just the extra little bit of class and the cattle that they had on the park got them across the line. But all they wanted to see from Richmond was a bit of some guts shown in the game, and they did. So if I walked away from Adamuse, probably outside of the Sydney win, probably their best performance of the year. Because they had a crack, and that's all you can ask for. That shows heart, and that leaves more goodness in the system than getting smashed by 60, 70 points week after week after week too. You'll take a loss like that because they had a crack. It was good. They just ran out of petrol tickets. I'm talking about a team that didn't even turn up with any petrol tickets outside the first 5 minutes. Melbourne, that was the worst game I've seen Melbourne play. And I'll put it this way, Jdog, I said it to you a little bit earlier. It was the new 186. That is the new 186 game. They went up there. They got pantsed, Jdog. Pantsed by Fremantle, who don't kick scores. That is how bad. Bad. It's the new 186. That is how bad it was. I will say, though, Fremantle, sensational. They literally red and blue witches hats. Actually, that's giving witches hats a bad name. That's how bad it was. Last but not least, Gold Coast. We said this was going to be a test up against Essendon. If Gold Coast are the real deal, these are the games that they need to win, and they did. Rowell, Anderson, Miller, King, you name it. The big boys came out to play, and you can just see the imprint that bloody Dimmer has on this group. They're going to be scary when all these younger kids become mature. It is going to be, ooh, yeah, big guys. And Essendon, hold your heads up high. I know that's not what you want to hear, but Gold Coast is not an easy game anymore up there. They are really tough to beat. And, 11 points, take it. You're still up, sitting nice and high on the ladder. But like I said, some teams that really needed to perform didn't. Teams that we thought that wouldn't do anything dominated. And there were lots of 8-point games that has turned the final 8 and the season completely around.
Yeah, I was prepared to come on here, and I think everyone knows my position on Gold Coast. I'm not a big fan of Gold Coast. I was prepared to come on here and say that June has come around and the Gold Coast losing train starts to fire up. But they had a win. They had a gutsy win. They stuck it out. It got within a goal, and they banged on 2 quick ones to just basically seal that one for them. Earlier, I said that Hawthorn have won 5 in a row. No, that's probably my bad.
It's all right.
They lost to Port Adelaide, but they have had their last 5 weeks have been bloody fine. Hawthorn, get excited about your mob. Melbourne, Peps, I wholeheartedly agree. I was watching that game and I sent you a text because I was not even going to bother watching that game, to be completely honest. I was like, nope. Melbourne up there against a team who refuses to kick a score. And much to my surprise, Peps, it was Melbourne just running around, doing nothing, literally letting Freo have their way.
Well, before I get into Melbourne, I just want to quickly raise something as well too. We are really hoping to get to 500 followers on our YouTube channel by the end of the season. Like that's what we're gunning for. So if you're tuning in right now and you haven't done so far, give us a like and a subscribe, because obviously that means that you get it delivered to your YouTube box every single time, including my losers for every single week. Also, if you have a look on our Facebook feed, we can also send us some stars as well too. And I want to thank the gorgeous Tori Daniela also just sent us some stars over the weekend. It just helps us look after the page, gets all the beautiful content and the equipment that we look after. We self-fund this. So thank you. It's just a little bit, but a little bit helps as well too. So if you want to send us some stars, Melbourne sent us stars. If you want to send us some stars through our Facebook page, hey, go ahead and do so. We'd love to just thank you for your support. So to you, my dear. Rightio. I don't want to turn this into a Melbourne bashing session because there are 17 other teams.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You spoke about Melbourne for about 25 minutes last week when someone asked one question that went for 2 minutes.
Yeah, but that was a question from a viewer. So I had to answer that. But the question what I will say is this. At one stage I said to you, Jamie, bring your mouth guards. It was almost bring your mouth guards night, because that is what I would have done if I was a coach. Bring your mouth guards, boys. We're going to punch the living suitcases out of each other.
Well, you're upset. You're upset last night when you made your video. I thought you were going to go harder, to be completely honest.
I couldn't, because it was at about 10 o'clock at night and the kids were in bed asleep and Narelle was doing school reports.
So I would rate that. Can I rate your video?
Yep.
Can I give you a rating from what I've seen over the last 3 years of you doing these videos? So if you haven't gone on to not just like our page, also jump on and look at Chris Peps' personal Facebook page. He does a usual wrap up of Melbourne, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Usually on the way home from the games. Anyway, Peps, I'm going to rate your video this time here. Just a mega 5, because you've done some cooked ones. Like you've done ones where you've had a video in the shower. You've done
pizza
ones.
One got some nice. The pizza one got a couple of good ones the other week. That was not too bad.
Yeah, pizza was good. The
look, I had a bit of a challenging day yesterday. I spent some time.
The kicking of the golf bag. That was a classic, because you had Relzy in the background yelling at you for losing your mind. That's probably one of the funniest. And I thought last night was going to be a repeat of that again.
Look, Scotty McKay gave it an 8.5, so it just depends on what it was. But look, to be honest, I had a really challenging day with my daughter. I had to go to hospital, just some things, and nothing that anyone needs to be worried about. So by the time I got home, I knew people were saying, where was it? And I just had to try and put something together at that point of night.
I wanted rage.
But I was almost going to rage, but I didn't know how to rage. You get to a point past rage. Everybody knows this with their teams. When your team has played that bad, you go beyond rage and you just get into there's no point. There's just no point.
You've saved your rage for tonight.
I'm saving it for tonight, but there is something definitely wrong there. I don't have any inside words, so don't ask me. But I don't like the way that they're playing. They can't connect. We don't have forwards. We've got guys up there at forward, but you should be playing in the back line. I don't get inspiration from the coaching panel. I don't get inspiration. I've got some absolute gun players that are just being wasted.
Can I just ask you a question?
We are being wasted. We are being wasted.
I have a question for you then. Have you finally joined my side of how you feel about a club?
What's that?
You are passionate for your club. I'm a Port Adelaide supporter.
Yeah.
True and true. You know this about me and everyone else. But there comes a point where if your team loses and the outcome is that your coach can potentially be moved on, you are sometimes happy to ride that a little bit. So when you have a big loss, you kind of go, I'm happy with this.
I am.
Because something is a change.
Yeah. I've said that the best thing that could happen to Melbourne this year is not make finals. And I thought they were locked in. But if we make finals, it'll cover over the cracks that have appeared probably last year. They only won a flag 3 years ago with a list that was dominant, and then went into 2022 and had 10 straight wins.
Yeah.
Since then, we're 29 and 22.
Yes, and both our teams were straight sets last year as well.
Yeah.
So
we both. We went Bird Atomics. Oh, Sam Stozer. We went Bird Atomic. Straight sets 2 years in a row. But it was just pathetic. I look at your mob. I just see Rosie Butters, Horn Francis, a Bergman. Georgiades played a great game, but just I don't really see much else out of that. It's just challenging.
No, I'm with you. Every week it's the same people, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. I don't talk about that.
But I do have to give credit. I do have to give credit. All right. Now there's lots of comments coming in on the chat right now. My goodness gracious, it's going absolutely berserko. Craigie Jones said, can we just say now there is only one team that has been consistently good this year, and that is Sydney. However, many teams have had their low period in the year and they could be in for heartache later in the season. I don't see that with Sydney. I just see Sydney are just, you go up to Sydney, you become a better player. I do not know a player who's gone up to Sydney and got worse. James Jordan. Now, that could have been a Melbourne issue, not playing him enough. But he really didn't dominate. They put him into Sydney. Sydney go, this is where we want you to play. He is having a great year. My couple of mates love him. He goes, he's been the best pickup. He's been the best pickup. I said, well, he's playing okay footy. He goes, no, but you don't understand. He's playing his role. Everybody plays the role. I just love it.
Footy is fickle though, Peps. I agree with Craig a bit there. Footy is fickle. As we know, we've seen some of the best teams like Collingwood and whatnot have to put out their reserves, and they're probably their second or third picks in terms of the midfield to top up.
Yep.
Richmond have gone through some tough injuries this year. All it will take is a Heaney rolled ankle or a Chad something or a pick whatever in their midfield at the moment, or the half forward line.
That's every team, mate. That's every team.
That's the thing.
If Ben Mackay goes down for Essendon are cooked.
This is the thing. At the moment, Sydney have played well. They have got no injuries on their list that I can actually think of that are impact players. But at the moment, you just got to call it as it is. And the ladder there says that they are the best, and they are the best by at least 2 games.
Yep. And I will say something, though. We've seen it happen before, but I don't even know. So normally there's teams you think that can win it. I say Sydney. I don't see who the second best team is. I'd love to ask the listeners right now. Who is the second best team in the comp right now?
This weekend past has added a lot of doubt to a lot of people.
I'm stumped if I look at it. Do you know who I'd say if I had to have a crack at it? I would almost even say it's a team that's not even in the 8.
Okay.
I reckon the Western Bulldogs. Jdog.
I know.
And hold on, and Carlton. I'd probably say Carlton. But the Western Bulldogs are playing footy at the moment, which if the finals were on next week with their full complement, and they'll get their full complement back, they're going to be, mate, Sam Darcy is a freak. Ed Richards has been playing awesome footy. You know, they're just all on the same page.
Can't convince me.
Huh?
You just can't convince me with them.
But at the moment, no one else convinces me. No one else convinces me. You know, Glenn Mossy's gone with Carlton. Scotty McKay has gone Carlton, and I reckon that. Mossy's also said that Dogs need a big backman. Well, I think Liam Jones is doing all right down there. And you remember, you could probably, worst comes to worst, you could probably chuck Norton down back. They've got a plethora of options down there.
Someone like that down there. Carlton, for me, it's still Carlton. It's still Collingwood. I don't know.
Collingwood are done, mate. Collingwood have too many injuries.
Yeah, I still rate them.
You can rate them, but they've got too many injuries. If they lose to Melbourne this week, which I don't think will happen, I think Melbourne will fall over in a complete heap. I would say that maybe I'll think about the Pies. But if they lose this week, they're going to struggle to make finals. If they get back to their start of year form, then I'd throw them in there. But it's really weird for such a tight season in the final 8. It is literally the Formula 1 right now. It's Red Bull. And then everybody's chasing Red Bull. It's the Keilor Football Club and everybody else chasing everybody else.
Have we changed our number on what's the finals issue in terms of like what does a team need to get to for wins to guarantee a final spot? Because I've always said traditionally it's 13.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's shifted now with competition being so tight? What's the number now? I don't know. I mean, statistically,
I
I
think
could
you
be
have to
saying
go
this
14.
completely wrong.
I think you'd have to go 14. I still think it's going to be 13, but to really cement a spot, you could end up with 14 wins and end up in top 4, which is unbelievable. But you're going to have a decent percentage.
That's where Hawthorn's going to struggle.
That's where Hawthorn's going to struggle. And that's where I think Essendon are going to struggle as well, too, because they haven't got a great percentage as well. Melbourne dropped 13 percentage points on the weekend, like or 12%.
Yeah.
In a season this tight, they could have ended up 3rd and they've ended up 10th in the space of a week. We've spoken about your mob. We've spoken about my mob. Can we speak about a couple of the winners on the weekend?
Sure.
Carlton are sexy.
Carlton are so difficult to stop when they get a run because they have the 2 forwards, which are both extremely valuable in the game. It's not just a kick it to someone or kick it to this person. They are both so active and active in that forward 50 that if they get a clearance, you just pick who you want to go for.
Yep.
No team has 2 key defender backmen. I can't think of. You had May and Lever.
But that's a different. We play differently.
But but you can't. But those 2, May and or Lever,
no,
they need to be left roaming free. It's same as how
May can take someone, but Lever needs to be taking the third tall to be.
Same as Lear for us. Like
there's really maybe a Lear and Radagalia from a size perspective, but they're no good.
They're interceptors.
Sydney, their back line isn't the greatest. Geelong, actually, probably Fremantle, I reckon, to be the only ones that be able to do it with maybe Ryan and Pearce.
Yeah, or maybe Brisbane potentially, but Brisbane are on the 8.
Brisbane are on the nose, man. Don't worry about them. Collingwood, no. Essendon, no. Actually, probably GWS might be with Taylor.
Yeah.
Brown maybe down there as well, too.
But the key for me is that Carlton don't need to win a lot of stoppages, but when they have won them, they are clean. They were clean in the last quarter. They banged on 6 goals so quick.
I will say one thing though. If Wiedering goes down, and we saw what happened in the middle of the first half of the season when he wasn't there for a few weeks, their back line really struggles. They're all over the shop. And I think that's where you can get them. If Mackay goes down, I still think Curnow can shoulder the load. If Curnow goes down, I don't think Mackay can shoulder the load. And that's been proven over the last number of seasons.
Yeah, it has been. Yep.
So I think that if Curnow or Wiedering go down, and you could say this for every team, they're going to be in some trouble. But geez, they're just playing football at the moment that it's awesome to see. And I haven't been the greatest Carlton supporter, but geez, for all the Carlton people out there who are just, loving it at the moment, goodness gracious, enjoy it for what it is. Enjoy it for what it is. I'll also say, though, I spoke about Fremantle a little bit, but they've got weapons. Like, they have got weapons in that midfield. Brayshaw, Sarong, Clark, you got Jackson in the middle, Darcy in the middle, then you got Tabernar up front. Not Tabernar, Tracy up front, Joe Miss up front. Walter still doesn't have to be the main guy anymore. It's just awesome. It is just awesome. I like it. It's good to see, and this is why I like the season being a little bit longer. Because if you have a bad start, you still got time to get back into it. If you have a really good start, you have the opportunity to completely stuff it up. And if you have a good start, and then you have a semi-average middle, you can ramp it up at the back end as well. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. Let's worry about it 6 weeks out, because that's where you want to start really hitting form.
I agree.
Because it's out one in June, but where you play finals is starting to get set up there.
All right, let's talk about some of the news happening at the moment.
Okay. Go for it.
No, sorry. I was going to say, over the weekend, Harley Reid, the outright favourite for first-year player, best, what's it called?
Rising Star?
There we go. Thank you. Rising Star has been rubbed out for 2 weeks on a dangerous tackle. West Coast have appealed that decision. Peps, thoughts and feelings on this one?
All right, there's two parts to this. So which one do you want to talk about? Him, Darcy? Because that's another one.
We'll talk about Reed first, and then we'll talk about Darcy and talk about other people in the window now.
All right, it's a waste of time for them to challenge it. There's no way that he's going to get off. You cannot go from 2 to 0. You'd have to have the magic bullet theory to figure out what happened.
Do you think West Coast are in the wrong for?
No, of course they're going to challenge it. It's the right thing to do to try and get this guy off. But you know what? I know he's the Prince of Perth right now. But he ain't getting off.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's head hit the ground, etc. It can't get off. And if he does get off, it's probably worse for the AFL because then they're going, hold on a second. Now you're playing favourites because there are people who've done the same thing and got weeks. Like the Perkins one, I think, from the other week where he tackled him and he rolled him over and he hit the ground. Like, I don't think he should have got a week for that. He just rolled him over and got a week for that. That looked worse. It was a definite slinging slam.
It was old WWE style.
He was lucky the guy didn't get knocked out. Can't get off.
All right. So my next question for this one here then.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the game, but Harley Reid copped his first proper tag.
Yeah.
By Marcus Windhager.
Yep.
Do you think that this is the way forward to tackle Harley Reid?
Oh, geez. Jamie, we've been doing this podcast, what? Is this our 7th year?
7th year.
The kids played, 11 games?
11 games of football.
And in that entire time, have we ever had a conversation which has gone along the lines of, hey, Peps, he got tagged for the first time in his career after 11 games.
After 50,000 fend-offs and someone just goes,
you know what?
Actually, put a bloke on this guy.
On the 11th gamer. On the 11th gamer. Their best player on the 11th gamer, who's probably going to win their BNF in the first season, we're going to tag him. If I was Harley Reid, I'd be like, you know what? Thanks. I've got this one out early. So be it. Tag him. Good. That's what good players get.
Yeah.
I got tagged my entire career.
On the half-back line.
I self-tagged myself.
Yeah.
Tag myself every week. Good on him. Got a tag, get frustrated. It's a part of the game. Adapt to it. All right. Tell me what. There's 17 other teams that they wish they had Harley Reid on their books.
That's definitely true. All right, let's open up the conversation that you want to talk about now.
No, before we do that, Sam Darcy. The only thing that I have with the Darcy incident is that he didn't knock Maynard into Nick's 6 weeks. Should have crunched him harder. But we get to do that against him. This King's birthday, you watch when the D's are going to come out. Snore, and we're going to, smoke's going to come out. We're going to fucking crunch him. Cuz is going to cop it.
Rightio, you psycho.
Right. But I was wrapped, the guy crunched it. He is a gun. Take your 2 weeks. The thing that's been brought up here is Peps. Should the rule be changed?
What rule?
Where the rule should be changed, where suspended players should be allowed to win the Rising Star. Can I extend this even further to the Brownlow as well?
Oh, are you suggesting a hypothetical to me?
So I'm putting to you, Jamie, because you've got to put this in perspective. What Reid got done for this weekend, last year would have got off.
No, but okay. I'll go with you. I'll run with it.
He would have got off.
I'll run with this, okay?
2 years ago, he would have got off, right? It was on the radio today, a perfect example. So you can tackle a bloke the same way you did last year and get rubbed out for it, but you couldn't the year before. But you can give someone a jumper punch, which we've seen so far this year, which you would have got a week for last year, and you're getting off for this year.
Okay.
So it's the rules about what govern players can and cannot do on the field are changing to the point when suspensions first came in and the ineligibility rule came in.
Yes.
It was for king hits.
Yeah, the bad
It
stuff.
was for eye gouges. It was for squirrel grips. It was for raised elbows. It was forearms to the back of the head. It was proper. Hey, mate, you should not be playing because that's not kosher. All right. It wasn't designed for a tackle that's gone awry or a bump that was because it got him in the head, even though it wasn't deliberate. Been done for that. So I think that what they should do is take the fairest part out of it, because I think the game is so scrutinized the way it is right now. It is virtually impossible to play the game the same way year in, year out and not have it judged differently in the eyes of the rule makers. What is it? It's the best. It's the best. It's the rising star. It's the Brownlow, the best player. If you cop weeks for it, for something really trivial, that's not, we're talking about the old days of Plugger and Ablett. But putting people in the next week. Straight, that's the stuff that they were getting reported for, not the Ticky Touchwood stuff that, you tackle a bloke and because his head grazed the turf, we're rubbing him out. It's not good.
The traditional part of me, Peps, wants to agree with you, but there was no point looking back. There's no point looking back and thinking it is what it is. The rule book, everyone has the rule book. Yes, it is all subjective. I get that, but I still believe in the best and fairest needs to be both of those. And I get what you're saying. It's so subjective these days.
Fairest, Jamie. So would you say, and this is why I'll put it straight at you right now, for what Harley Reid got done for, and I'm just picking him out because that's the one that's in front of everybody's mind right now. Should he? Does that really go against the fairest element? Like, what really wasn't fair about what he did?
Well, the unfair bit was he broke the rule.
I'm not asking that. I'm not worrying about the rule. The rules have changed.
He broke the current rule.
Yeah, but I get that, and he's going to pay his penance for it. But for something that because that's the part that he's been broken, not the best. It's the fairest element. In your eyes, for what he did, does that break that fairest rule? Like, was that not being fair play compared to a Webster at the start of the year that put what's his name in the next week?
So yes,
you put those two in the same category.
Correct. So for me, the word fair is no cheating or trying to achieve unjust advantage.
Okay. So how
therefore, did that tackle create an unjust advantage?
It was just a tackle. I think this point made by David Salt is just nails it perfectly. Intent has to be the question. So was Harley's intent to hurt him?
I don't know how you can argue intent.
Well, that's
I intentionally. If I was intentionally tackling someone, then my intention probably is to hurt. Yes.
Interesting.
Well, you played the game. You played the game at a reasonable level and did it for a very long time. You were taught to tackle to hurt, yeah?
When I was taught, it was watch the hips, pin the arms. That's what it was. Watch the hips, pin the arms. That's how it was. Bring him to ground. That's how it was.
Did it change?
Never changed.
No, not your style. Sorry. The message, as in tackling you became harder and faster and...
No, Just
if someone
crack
didn't
bring
get
the
up and
ground.
be like, whatever.
No. If you can hurt them legally, hurt them legally. They do it to us, we do it to them.
Yeah.
But we didn't have all this stuff with head knocks and so forth coming into play and sling tackles. We had sling tackles, etc. We've seen them, we've given them. But I just think that, you know, there's so many things that people can get done for now. It is virtually impossible to go through an entire season without either getting a fine or a suspension in some. But you can have a push and shove and you get fined for that. Like,
let me ask.
I don't agree with it.
Let's work backwards then.
Yeah.
Have the people who have won the best and fairest award, the Brownlow,
Yeah.
have you thought that was unjust and they didn't deserve it? Or did you go, you know what, they probably were the best and fairest of the whole season?
So there's only
we've always ended up in the right place.
No, I don't think we have. No.
Is there something that stands
I'll
out to
give
you?
you 3 examples right now off the top of my head. The first one. Now, this is totally outside of everything, and you're probably going to hate me for it, but I'll say it. I think the Joe Watson one, that needs to be looked into now.
Well, he lost it. He lost it on the process.
With, once again, I always say it, they never proved that they never took anything, but they never proved that they didn't.
Well, he's not in the books as a winner.
Yeah. I still see him as a winner.
Okay.
All right. So that's the first one. And when you got Trent Cotchin saying, I don't think I'm a real winner, I'm like a substitute. Yep. The second one is Corey McKernan. He got the most votes in the Brownlow and was ruled ineligible because of a trip.
Who was the second place for that one?
Robert Harvey. I think that was his second Brownlow that he won in 98.
Okay. So Saints were on a roll. Yep.
Yeah. But he got done for a trip.
Mm-hmm.
A trip which would get a fine these days. This is what I'm saying. It would have been
a trip is a free kick on the field. Yeah.
Yep. The third one, Patrick Cripps smacked a bloke, got off.
Yes.
Technicality. I've actually got a fourth one as well too. And this is the most farcical one, was Chris Judd when he threw an elbow back, split the guy's cheek open, and they said, "Nah, nothing to see here."
But was he the best player of the year?
Well, he won the Brownlow for it, yes. But
so then in the eyes of the best and fairest, then that's okay. He's got there. So it's not impossible to get one.
Jdog is that you have stuff where it's really ticky touchwood, like the Reed one, and you get the one like Cripps, where we went bang. Sorry, not Corey McKernan. Sorry, it was Chris Grant. Sorry, Chris Grant.
Yeah,
won the Brownlow, not McKernan. Apologies. And Chris Grant got done for punching someone in the back of the head, which these days would have probably just got a fine. And it wasn't even the tribunal that brought it up. It was the chief of the AFL brought it up. So it's just, there's just so many inconsistencies from year to year that once again, the intent of the fairest part is for the dirty dogs, not for the minuscule stuff.
I
feel that it's not right.
I feel we land on the right one.
Coming in on the chat, and there's a lot of people who agree with me, and there's a lot of people who agree with the betting companies.
Well, look, I hear what you're saying, but I just feel that we always end up like this is always going to go around and around, and people are going to talk about that person did that thing in that round there, and that person did that thing in that round. We always end up with a winner. We go, yeah, they probably were the best anyway. Ablett, Cripps, Lockie Neal. They've probably got incidents, but they end up being the best player. And there's probably moments you look back and go, they probably didn't. But I still think he can be the best player and also be the fairest player, and let the headlines run the course.
Yeah, exactly right. But you know what? Carlton had plenty of brown paper bags, so they just buy their way out of everything.
It's the 90s. It's the 90s.
It's the 90s. Yeah, so that one definitely crossed my mind. I don't know, Jdog.
Sir Doug Nicholls round. I got a question about question about Doug Nicholls round.
Yep.
Why don't all clubs wear their jumper across the 3 weeks?
It's supposed to be 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. So why isn't everyone wearing 2 weeks? Some
'Cause
clubs are. Some clubs aren't.
over the 2 weeks.
Over the 2. Yeah.
Well, if you don't wear it over 2 weeks, that's just disrespectful in my opinion. But it's to do with because they basically wear it on their home game, so they should wear it for both games. And if they don't, I'd love to hear their excuse.
They
That's
just
as
look
simple as
good.
it gets. It's no good.
just-
It's just
They
it's
look,
pathetic.
they look good, the jumpers.
Yeah, they look good. And you know what? If you go into my video that I did about Sir Doug Nicholls, it's probably about a 4-minute video. Go in and have a look, and you'll be quite surprised how much this guy copped, but how much he did for the Aboriginal players and also for the community as well too. So go onto the Lace Out page, look for my video on Sir Doug Nicholls. Take 4 minutes out of your day. Also, give it a like and subscribe. Ring the bell, and it'll open your eyes because I that's why I did it. I had no idea what he did and what he brought to the game. He was amazing. Amazing from what he copped and what he put up with to where he ended up being. It was mind-blowing. So definitely
Post AFL career life as well. Very, very, very.
Another question has come in. Why do some clubs have their name change and some don't? Once again, it's because some clubs want to do, really connect with the Aboriginal community, and the other ones say no. We're not going to do it. So I don't know. I think it should be just made mandatory. They all do it. And it's not a political thing, Mr. David Salt. It's just a mark of respect. There's other political things that they bring in, which I don't agree it should be. But for Sir Doug Nicholls, I have no issue with the 2 rounds being to the Aboriginal community because he did bloody lots for it.
And if that upsets you, you know who your team is.
Yep.
No one looks at it and goes, first 2 weeks, I wonder who Yardapulti is. Like, no, I know who that is. Like, that's a pretty simple one.
Yep.
I follow my team. I know who they are.
Yep. Mind you, my team don't have a very good record on playing under the NAM banner. I think we've only won 1 game.
I thought you had a pretty good record up there before the weekend.
No.
Oh, so Alice Wingy had a terrible record. But even
a pretty average record. It's not good. Not probably the game that we want to talk about too much, but yeah, I agree with you, Scotty McKay. All in, 1 in, all in. I agree with that perfectly. Yep. Hey, Jdog. Are you concerned about the lower end teams are really going to find it even harder to get back? And what I was thinking about was, we just had the mid-season draft, which we all picked up players for various reasons, which is really cool. But I think free agency is ruining it for the lower clubs. And it's making it harder.
I'm just going to go back and just listen to my previous rants about you
with
this stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know if I agree with you, but I probably didn't because that's what we do.
That's the nature. Yep.
But it takes me a little bit longer to sort of, get up to speed with you, number 9 ranked Iron Man in the world. But tell me who the best free agent was to go to a lowly club.
Peps. You're making my heart sing right now with you just coming, this welcome to the moment. I have been going on for years that free agency has only ever supported the top clubs.
So
it has never helped the bottom clubs.
It hasn't.
It wrecks the opportunities, the draft concessions that clubs get. It wrecks it all because big teams profit by having the name to then get stars who are ready-made into their clubs.
And that's why I'll apologize for my ignorance for all these years. I thought it was a good idea, but the only ones who go to lower clubs are players who are on the cusp.
Yep.
And they're going to get a deal someone else. Yeah, they're getting more sheets, mate. They're getting more sheets. More cash here is cash.
But they don't bring their best to that club. They're done.
Yeah, to the lower ones, yeah, probably. And Gold Coast were like that for quite a long time, and then they've turned things around. But North, you have a look at the ones that North have brought in recently, haven't done much at all.
I'm glad you're saying this, Peps, because it has completely. What's the word when like something wrecks like an ecosystem? What's that word? It has disrupted the natural order of the draft system.
Oh, the draft. Can I say? Can I use the C bomb in this? Can I throw a C bomb?
You can
the
throw.
Draft is completely crap.
Yes.
With all the draft concessions, with all the father sons, with all the academies, it's stuffed. The whole thing is stuffed.
Yes, I do agree. But I certainly would never move my position that free agency only supports the wealthy clubs.
It does. It's just, and like I said on the radio, it doesn't cost a club anything. Salary cap, you can make the salary cap sing. You don't pay anything. My idea was if you finish in the top 4 at the end of the final series, so you play in the prelims, you can't participate in free agency.
Oh.
And if you want to play out, you've got to give up a pick for it.
So that'll do a couple of things though then, Peps.
Mm-hmm.
So it will force those teams to regen through the draft and regen through youth.
Yep.
It will, and it'll also then stop the holes that these clubs inadvertently find themselves in when the top of that age group falls away and they're left like Richmond's a bit of a weird case for the fact that it's got injuries. Like your Hawthorn. Hawthorn just within 2 years just went kaput because all of that list just went broom, dropped away.
Yeah, Zen fell out of it, certainly.
Wow, I'm glad you've had this realization.
Oh, just
what got you thinking about it, Peps? What got you thinking about it?
Look, to be honest, the Doggies brought it up a bit. You look at the Doggies, I think they made the grand final. And then the next year got that was the year before. So they made finals like a prelim, got Ugelhagen because he was an academy pick. And then they get Darcy, who's a father's son and is a gun. And then you got other clubs that had kids in academies, but then they changed the rule and lost them. I keep saying it. Melbourne had Mac Andrew. Could you imagine Mac Andrew at centre half back for the D's right now?
Yeah, especially with Lever out. Yep.
Yeah, with Lever out. Like this is what I'm saying is that they changed the rule because of one club getting Ugelhagen. Oh, we'll change it. Now you can't match the bid.
It's the Geelong father-son draft all over again.
It's just yeah. And there's too many loopholes and things now. The inequality has gone out and the draft is not what it was. Even one thing worse, the Coates League, which used to be the pinnacle of football, the talent path of football, is now second to the private school football.
Yeah.
Go and watch a Coates game. If anyone's actually on the chat here or on the podcast listening to this, if you've ever seen a Coates game, all it is 2 forwards and 2 backs stuck in the 50 and the rest of midfielders trying to kick goals to put their name up in lights. There is no team element to it whatsoever. Everybody just wants to put their name up in lights so they get picked. It is a peacock football league.
Well, it's the same as the football carnivals. Same thing.
Oh,
the Vic. Yeah. They're the same thing. They're the same thing.
Yeah, but those kids are already good anyway.
Yeah, but the same thing though. They're just.
Yeah, but you're playing. Yeah, I know what you mean. But they're the best of the best. They're the top guns, right?
They are the best.
But it's just not. It's just not. It's just not working. I just don't like it. I don't like it, Jdog.
Well, it works if your team keeps getting players. Like, I mean, look at We don't have to. It's not related. Oh no, it kind of is related. There's rumors of Bailey Smith joining Geelong. How does that happen? Honestly, how does that happen?
I don't know, Jdog.
How does Geelong keep getting this stuff?
But I don't think he's any good anyway.
Well,
he never performs in big games.
You
might
doubted
have
Jeremy
games
Cameron.
once, huh?
You doubted Jeremy Cameron for a long time.
Don't you dare start that. I
You
love
did.
Jeremy Cameron.
You
Never. No, shut up. Don't put words in my mouth. Caroline.
I reckon down there he'll be all right.
Yeah, he probably will.
Anyway.
And I just there. A great question came through from one of the viewers a little bit earlier on, which was from a North Melbourne way. Scotty McKay loves his D's. Do you think North will win a game? Do you think that they will lift from the AFL at the end of the season? Oh, okay. Well,
can I have a look at their draw? I need to look at their fixture.
Have a look at their fixture.
At the moment, I'm nervous.
Look, the last team to go winless through a season was Fitzroy in 1964.
What happened next?
Okay.
20 years later, they're dead.
1964. They finished up in 96. A few years
96? That feels like 80s. Okay, all right, sorry.
But anyway, I think North will win a game. Just a game.
Where?
I don't know. I can't see them going through an entire season winless.
They play Richmond one more time in August the 3rd.
Yep.
They play Eagles the week later, August 10.
Whereabouts?
Eagles at home. Eagles at North Melbourne. Sorry.
One.
Eagles in Hobart.
No. That's the one they'll win.
And Richmond at Marvel. So you're talking 21-22. They're going to have to get a win.
Yep. That's it. They'll win one of those or both of those.
Oh, they've just got a brutal run coming on. Their run is brutal.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not.
Oh, they've got Eagles. Actually, sorry, they've got Eagles coming up this week. Sorry, over in West.
Yeah, they'll get smashed. They'll be Harley. But it's a great question here. Would a guy like Kevin Bartlett get drafted these days? Too skinny, too short. Would Robbie Flower get drafted these days? Would Greg Williams get drafted right now? Like we're talking about the creme de la creme of footballers, and based on what's happening now, they won't get drafted. It's not right.
Well, no, they won't. But they're also it's a completely different game.
Yeah,
they played.
Yeah, I know. But Scotty McKay says Tulip Robbie Flower would get picked up, but is he too skinny?
I reckon he'd get smashed.
He gets smashed. He played at 70. He played at 74 kilos, 74 games at 72, 73 kilos. Like he would get caned now, just the way the game's played. So they'd make him stack on weight. He'd make him stack on weight, and he would lose everything that'd be awesome about him.
How tall is he? Was he roughly? Was he a 6 foot?
He'd be 183, 184, maybe.
Yeah, he might get in.
But it's just nuts.
The rest, though, no. The rest, no.
Yeah, sorry. Good point. We are not allowed to talk about players' weight. We're not allowed to mention that on the podcast whatsoever. Mossy, thank you very much. We just want to make sure that we're all HR compliant. Couple of quick things before we go for 1 week at a time, moving into this next week's games. Couple of quick ones to throw at you, Jdog. I want to hear your opinion. Adelaide, are you concerned about Adelaide? And is Matthew Nicks too soft?
Great question. I think to steal the line from you, great man. Serious case of the Katy Perrys. Hot and cold.
Ooh,
they are, because I think that the game of the weekend isn't indicative of what Adelaide are, because they've put on a couple of good weeks. The problem is they're lacking something.
Well, now that Tex is gone, their forwards that they've got down there, especially Fogarty, haven't really taken that next step that they thought, and Philthorpe hasn't taken that next step to take over from them.
Philthorpe's been good though, but they're just. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's something not right there. There's something not right. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a coach though. I don't know if it's a coach.
All right, Brisbane make finals, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely no way.
Hawthorn make finals, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Gold Coast make finals.
No.
Interesting. There'll be like 15 teams outside the 8. Does Port Adelaide make finals?
They will hold on.
Does Melbourne make finals?
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Hey, I want to bring in 1 week at a time, by the way. Prior to that, Fitzroy's last season in 1996, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, but the last team to go with only 1 win was GWS in 2013, which was their first in the season.
Hey, tell me, bonus points, Peps. Can you tell me who that team was?
Port Adelaide.
And can you tell me which coach got fired on the Monday after that game?
Matthew Primus.
Correct.
Who needs a fantail?
Who needs a fantail? I got that sort of trivia coming at you.
Hey, great question here. Who did you pick to win the flag before round 1? I think I picked Brisbane.
Yeah, my book's not on me, but I had Brisbane probably up there.
Yeah, Brisbane. Just goes to show we have
no, I had Collingwood. I
think I had. I think I went Brisbane, but I think I may have gone Collingwood because they got Lockie Schultz in as well too. Wrong guys, wrong season. Interesting. Thank you for clearing that up, Mr. Craig Jones. He's so awesome over there. Love the portrait, guys. Rightio. 1 week at a time, looking at some cracking games that are coming up.
Yeah, the portraits, guys. There's a photo of those boys all together, the old crew together, I think.
Well,
Was that right? Was that right? Jonesy, tell me. I think it was right. I had Matt, yourself, Anthony. I think that's what they had the boys together.
Can I go through my games of the week for this week coming up? And thank you for like I said, we don't live by stats. Don't let a stat get in the way of a good story. But I'm really looking forward to Marvel Stadium on Friday night. Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to University of Tasmania Stadium. Saturday afternoon, Hawthorn versus GWS. That is who needs a hot box? Because that's going to be spicy. I'm looking forward to, you're going to laugh when you hear this, Marvel Stadium on Saturday night, St Kilda versus Gold Coast. Like if Gold Coast are the real deal, Jamie, this is the one that they need to win. And in June, they usually lose these. The Swans versus the Cats at the SCG 320. Oh, go to church early that day, friends. Then at night on the Sunday, Essendon versus Carlton. I'm thinking about going to that one. And in Monday, Collingwood versus Melbourne. Melbourne will lose. And yeah.
You're currently leading the sports line, the bet line.
Doesn't mean anything, mate. Doesn't mean anything. Hey, by the way, we're going to love this one. In 2013, the only win GWS got that year was against Melbourne.
2013?
Yep. Even with Collingwood's reserve side in there, we will still lose.
Peps.
And
it would have been faster to say that the 13, sorry. Yeah, right. It would have been fast for you to say the games you didn't actually want to look forward to. It's a cracking round.
Yep.
This is actually a brilliant round.
I love it. I love footy. There's lots of now. There's going to be lots of buys and so forth coming in. So worry about that later on. But we're pretty much at our finishing point now. So Jdog, anything that you want to bring up before we wrap this bad boy up? By the way, everybody who's been on the chat tonight, I reckon it's one of the biggest chat nights that we've had. Like it has gone absolutely berserko. And so for everybody who's been online, like thumbs up to you. Once again, if you want to donate some stars to us, please go ahead and do so on the Facebook page. We'd love to. And if you haven't liked and subscribed on the YouTube channel, you're missing out. Make sure you do that as well too, because everybody who subscribes gets us closer to that 500 mark that we are gunning for.
And voicemails.
And voicemails. Send us voicemails. Remember, just go to the Lace Out page, drop us a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. And one other thing as well too, I will have out tomorrow my losers for a massive round 13 of AFL action. It was a little bit later last week. I apologize, but it will be out tomorrow. Strap yourselves in. It is going to go off. And Scott McKay has put cash on Essendon to make top 4. I would, Scotty, put money on Essendon to not even make finals.
Oh,
they've got the second hardest run going into the back end of the season.
So
things have happened.
My thoughts are running out this week of football coming up for us. Sunday through to Monday is electric. The other games are okay, but Sunday to Monday is where the action is.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. We're either going to be going ballistic next week or where karma's come back to the world. We just don't know. And that's why we love this game. And that's why I love you and I love everybody watching it. So on behalf of the Lace Out team, CJP, JDOG, have a wonderful week. I hope your team wins, unless you're Collingwood. But more importantly, Peps and Jdog, have a great weekend. Jdog, once and for all, I love working with you every single week. How do you want your footy, Port Adelaide style? What are you trying to work out?
I'm trying to work out, does the game finish next week just before we go back on live?
Oh, yes.
It'll be within an hour or two.
Oh, I'll be coming straight from the G.
Well, you better we better talk about this offline.
Yes, we'll be coming straight from the G. We might be going Tuesday night. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, more importantly, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone. And stay care to jungle out there.
See you later. Love you all. Bye.
Bye. I love it when he does the bye. So cute.